The formula: good cause plus wholesome condition equals desired result. This is the formula. Please write it down for me. Good cause plus wholesome condition equals desired result. A good cause plus a wholesome condition brings about a desired result. We will study this formula together. Let's use it like a recipe to cook and enjoy the flavors of this human life. Now, turn to your partner and repeat this phrase aloud together. Good cause plus wholesome condition equals desired result. Good cause plus wholesome condition equals desired result. Good cause plus wholesome condition equals desired result. Say it 5 times if needed, until you truly remember it. Before we go deeper into the meaning, let's return to the story. We just mentioned about the seed that we sow. So let me ask, in terms of our worldview, if we have a very good seed, like a seed from a delicious fruit, let's say an apple, and we plant that seed on a concrete surface, a slab of cement. Do you think that seed will grow into a tree and bear fruit? Definitely not, right? So even if the seed, the cause, is good, if the condition isn't wholesome, it's very hard for any fruit to grow. Do you get this? Now let's flip it. Say the condition is wholesome, a fertile, rich soil where anything can grow. But the seed we plant has already been boiled, cooked by heat, the seed is dead. And then we plant it in the rich soil, build fences, water it, and fertilize it daily. Will that do any good? No, because the cause, the seed, is no longer good. So even with wholesome conditions, there will be no result. You understand this, right? It's like this. Imagine someone gets the chance to sit face to face with Bill Gates, a very wealthy man, or Elon Musk, one of the richest people in the world right now. He gives us 3 hours of his time to ask him anything we want, and he'll answer. Now, what would we ask? Do we even have enough English to ask the question? And even if we ask something, how will we understand his answer? If we know something about technology, maybe we can have a decent conversation. But if we know nothing, then what? Even the greatest minds in the world can't help us if we don't know what we truly want. Do you see this? That is what we call a wholesome condition. If you get the chance to meet the wealthiest people on earth or top experts in a certain field, that is extremely rare. But then, what do we ask? We still don't know. However, someone who's been in that field for years, who's been pondering and seeking deeply, when they meet the expert, just 2 or 3 words from that person can completely open their mind. It's the same with all of us. If inside, your inner being carries a real desire for peace and happiness, then today's session will feel deeply meaningful. But if your only desire is material wealth, then hearing all this might just feel boring, even though the condition is wholesome. You see, if you ask anything about the aspects of human life during these days together, we can understand it all, but even then, it might still be wasted. Some people ask, why don't we offer this course to university students? And I say, over the past 10 or more years, how many students have really shown up for this class? The truth is, they don't feel the need to understand their inner being, but if someone really wants to grow, then even as a student, they'll think like someone more mature. It's usually after entering society that people begin to turn inward, so even if we beg them, they won't join. Even if we offer them money to attend, they still won't join. Now, let's say we've planted a good seed in a wholesome condition. It's starting to grow, but then we don't know how to nurture it. The tree bears fruit, but we let it all be harvested at once. We eat it all, and the next season the tree is depleted. Eventually, there is no more good fruit. You understand this, right? At any moment in life, we may experience immense blessings, great fortune, a very favorable condition, and yet we don't realize it. We consume all the fruits at once, without restraint, without saving anything for later. We don't even leave behind a few seeds, and what happens? We fail to nourish the tree that bore us those fruits. So what do many people do? They harvest it all. That's why their youth is glorious. But after turning 40 or 50, they begin to wither. There are people who, at 20 or 25, are wealthy and proud. They rise so high they become arrogant. But by the age of 40 or 50, their life begins to decline. Why? Because they live only in the glory of the past. They had so many fruits, but never learned how to plant new seeds. They didn't grow a new tree. Eventually, all their fruits are gone. In society, people are obsessed with the fruit. Just the mention of a result makes people chase after it. But in spiritual traditions and religions, there's a saying, Bodhisattvas speak of causes. Sentient beings speak of results. Ordinary people always talk about what they want in life. I want wealth. I want success. I want happiness. But the enlightened ones, those who deeply understand human life, they speak of the cause. Because they know with the right cause and right condition, the result will naturally follow. If someone is too greedy for the fruit, they consume their blessings too quickly. Eventually, the blessings run out. So, in understanding life, let's explore the cause and condition first. Then we can move on to the result. That path will serve us much better. So, for years now, our journey has focused on cultivating cause and condition. We don't focus on delivering results for you. That part, you will harvest yourself. My role is to support your cause and condition. So, in all the learning we do here, we go deep into cause. We cultivate good causes. As for wholesome conditions, you can continue to nurture them through online sessions. For example, The Complete Understanding of Human Nature is one course that helps us form wholesome conditions. And The 7 Forms of Noble Giving. These 2 courses help us build the wholesome conditions we need. Write these down so you can go learn them later. I will also be offering some teachings on giving in the next few days, so you can deepen your awareness of them. Once we've grasped some of these basic concepts, then more will be passed on. So now, let us begin to understand the cause in human life. We won't discuss the causes of the cosmos or the universe today. We will focus on the cause of the human experience. Ready? To understand this cause, we must first look at the lenses through which people view life. Draw a triangle. On the bottom right corner, write science. At the top, write religion. We'll open parentheses here to add faith. Some people follow a religion, others follow a form of faith or spiritual practice. For example, worshiping one's ancestors. Would you say that is religion or faith? It is faith, it's not religion. Even Buddhism, technically, is a faith, not a religion. We just commonly refer to it as a religion. Why? Because a religion typically involves a supreme being, someone to transmit divine messages, someone in charge of delivering those truths. But Buddhism was founded by a human being. So it is more accurately called a spiritual path or a form of faith. Then there's morality. These are life principles drawn from folk wisdom. They are truths passed down for generations, over thousands of years. Now, every one of us today is influenced by these 3 perspectives. Whenever we face something in life, we interpret it either through the lens of science, through religion, or faith, or through morality. No one escapes these 3 perspectives. Let me ask you, who here feels they lean more toward science in the way they interpret life? Anyone? Who feels more inclined toward religion or faith? And who leans more toward morality in how they view life? Whichever you choose, it just means that view has had more influence on you. But we're all influenced by all 3. Now, what if someone uses the scientific lens to navigate marriage and family, do you think that might lead to a breakup? It can, right? Because science is very exact. Right is right. Wrong is wrong. In parenting, they'll calculate every nutrient. Every meal is scheduled. Learning must happen on time. If you want to be good at something, you must follow specific steps. Everything becomes rigid and pressured. Now, what about applying the religious view to marriage? Then it becomes all about fate. If the karma is there, we'll stay. If not, we separate. And there's no suffering in that. Some faiths even discourage marriage or having children altogether. They promote celibacy and detachment. Right? So in family or in life, science has a strong influence. Let's say we plan a vacation. Which view do we use? Science. To plan the schedule, book transportation, arrange everything. But if we apply a religious view, then we'll consider auspicious days, even which foot to step out of the house first. Funny, right? But it happens, because those people are influenced by that perspective. So here's the key point. If we know which perspective to use for which situation, then that's wisdom. Very helpful, right? Knowing when to use science, when to apply religion or faith, and when to rely on moral principles, that is clarity. And once you've understood the human experience, you can apply these perspectives skillfully. My role is to help you see what a good cause really is, especially from the scientific perspective. The good causes within us, what are they, when viewed through the lens of religion or faith, and what are they, when seen through the lens of moral tradition? We'll come back to other discussions later, after we deeply understand what these causes truly are. So, before we explore what a good cause is, we first need to understand what a cause actually means in human life. From the scientific perspective, what is a cause? We need to know this first before we can talk about what makes a cause good. Next, what is a cause in human life when viewed through religion or faith, and what makes a good cause from that viewpoint? Then, what is a cause according to moral wisdom, and what defines a good cause there? So, we'll explore the concept of cause in each of these three perspectives. If we can integrate the essence of all three, that, right there, becomes the fundamental cause of our human experience, because, after all, we are all equally influenced by these three views. Let's begin by exploring the cause of human life, from the perspective of science. We'll approach the scientific view first, so you can engage with it clearly before moving on to religion and moral tradition. From there, you'll develop a broad and integrated view of human life. Is that okay? So, please write this down. The cause of human life, from the perspective of science. We're about to enter something very important. Once we understand what cause means in the scientific sense, we'll gain a complete understanding of our life and our human journey, in a very simple way through this lens. This is what we call the formula of the origin of life. In this context, we're using a different kind of language. We are seeking the origin of our life as understood through science. Earlier, we phrased it as the cause of human life from a scientific perspective. That was a statement to help us understand cause and effect. But now, this formula will allow us to fully comprehend the origin of our life from the scientific view. It's about our human life. And from science, it's explained as follows. Let's begin. First, please write down the word, result. Now, what does result really mean here? Let's make sure we understand it clearly. It refers to everything you currently have in this human life. Everything. That's what we call the result of your life. If you could choose just one word, a single term, whether simple or compound, that directly impacts the result of your life right now, what would it be? Just for yourself, this is a personal reflection. Think of the word that you believe has the most direct influence on your current life results. Please write it down silently on your paper. Don't say it out loud yet. The word you think is directly influencing your current human experience. What is it? Go ahead, write it down now. So, what words came up? Someone said, action. Others said, doing, effort, will, mind, awareness, desire, intellect. Remember, there's no right or wrong answer here. You're simply recognizing what you feel most directly impacts your life right now. Now, let's see what the elders, the guides, the experts have pointed to. That word is choice. Let me explain why this is considered the most direct influence. Choice. You choose what to eat or what not to eat. You choose who to spend time with or who not to. You choose whether to read or not to read, which book to read, whether to face difficulties or avoid them. All of these are choices. Over and over again, and from the moment we were born until now. We've made countless choices, what to eat or not eat, who to spend time with or avoid. And all those choices have directly shaped the outcomes of our lives. Pause for a moment. Reflect on your own life. Isn't this true? Would you agree, then, that if we had to name one single word that directly influences our life's results, the word pointed out by the masters is choice. Choice directly determines our life outcomes. Do we agree? Yes, we agree. But here's the thing. The human inner tendency often denies this truth. We tend to claim credit for what goes well. But when things go wrong, we blame others. For example, if we marry someone amazing, we say, "That was my wise choice. I knew what I was doing." But if the marriage goes badly, we say, "My parents forced me. I never truly had a choice." Isn't that right? If you're shaking your head, that's okay. You may already see things differently. But for most people, this is the common mindset. Whatever is beautiful, they claim credit for. But for anything painful, they shift the blame. So, what's the truth? At the moment we made any choice, wasn't it the best choice we could make at the time? Yes, it was, because if we had seen a better option, we would have taken it. So, at that point in time, we made the best choice we knew how to make. Do we agree on this? Yes, and most importantly, who made that choice? We did. Right here, right now, this very moment. We can choose to gain a new understanding. The one realization that will protect us for the rest of our lives is this: the origin of life starts from within me, because it was me who made the choice. Please write this sentence down. The origin of life starts from within me. But also remember to whisper to yourself a second part. It's not my fault. I didn't know better. If I had known something better, I would have chosen it. If what I chose wasn't good, I would have made a different choice. Right? So, acknowledge that life originates from me. But I do not blame myself, and I don't blame others either. If, in this very moment, you can grasp this truth, then I sincerely congratulate you, because from here on, your learning journey will be one of pure joy. But if, at this moment, you still believe that all your suffering is caused by others, then you are still carrying a heavy burden, and it will be very hard to change your life. But if you can now accept, no matter what your current life looks like, pleasant or unpleasant, it's all a result of your own choices. And at the moment you made those choices, you chose the best you could. Then this realization will grow in you. The origin of life starts from within me, but it is not my fault. Let's agree on this for now, even if in your heart you still feel someone else was at fault. Just for now, can you acknowledge this? For example, I didn't do anything wrong. Why did my husband treat me this way? Yes, it seems that way. But just for now, can you say, the origin of life starts from within me, but it is not my fault. The origin of life starts from within me, but it is not my fault. Because some people, if they haven't yet matured in their awareness, will fall into the trap of blaming themselves. But that's not what this awareness is about. Another example. At one job, they're gossiped about and mistreated. So they move to a new company, same thing. Then another one, still the same. What should we do then? We need to change ourselves. Because if the same situation keeps repeating, then the problem is not with those around us. It means that something in us has been a match for that situation. So, people say that if we want to change our results, we need to change our personality. And once our personality changes, what happens to our choices? They immediately shift. And when our choices change, so do our results. But when people start digging into the topic of personality, they realize they don't actually know what kind of personality creates a good life. Even when they study the lives of successful people, they still can't figure out what exact personality traits are responsible for that. So what do they know for sure? They know that changing personality does lead to different results, but personality is not the root. So they can't focus on changing it, because they don't know how to change it appropriately. Let me ask you, if someone knew exactly what kind of personality leads to wealth, success, and happiness, would you train yourself to build that personality? Absolutely. But we've lived all the way up to this point. Has anyone ever told us what personality leads to a fulfilling life? No one. Why? Because people don't have a clear concept of what kind of personality produces certain results. And that's because personality is only a middle step in human transformation. So what did people do? They kept digging and finally discovered something deeper. Habits are what create personality. And that's when the world began focusing on one thing: building good habits. And the world came up with all kinds of methods for how to develop good habits. But after decades, 40 to 50 years, the world has come to realize something else. There is no such thing as a universally good or bad habit. Each habit aligns with a certain kind of result. For example, is smoking a good or bad habit? Good. Bad. You smoke, don't you? So it's good, right? Well, what is it good for, and what is it not good for? Yes, it's bad for your health, but sometimes when someone is stressed or anxious, picking up a cigarette gives them relief. I had an older brother. Every time he wanted to go to the toilet, he had to light a cigarette. He said, "I inhale once, and then everything flows." And back in the day, I smoked too, when I was young. What's so shocking? I grew up in the countryside. I lived by the sea. Sometimes when it's cold, don't we sneak a puff or two? Out by the ocean, in stormy weather, what do? One deep inhale from a cigarette and suddenly, ah! Back in the day, when I had some free time, my dad used to smoke Sun Lock, the kind you roll yourself. I'd gather some up, sneak off into the forest and smoke. Then one day, on a random beautiful morning, I took a drag and immediately felt like throwing up. From that moment on, I stopped. Okay, maybe I still snuck a puff once in a while, but not regularly, not out of addiction. I was still young. That was life in the countryside. But after that one time, boom. Now, even just smelling cigarette smoke, I can't handle it. I can't get used to it. That, in itself, is a blessing for my health. Now, my biological brother, he still smokes. He goes through more than a pack a day. Some nights, when he stays up late, I think he might go through several packs. No, not N. He doesn't smoke. He's older, more mature. But there are people who smoke several packs a day. So, let me ask again, is that a good habit? Can we say it's good or bad? We can't, because habits aren't good or bad. They're just aligned with different outcomes. Let's try another one. Waking up early. Is that a good habit? Getting up at 3 or 4 in the morning to study, is that good? Well, good for what, and not good for what? So, in the end, the conclusion is this: No one really knows which habits make a person rich or successful. Everyone talks about habits of the wealthy, but following them doesn't always make you rich. If it worked that way, everyone in the world would be rich by now. So finally, they discovered there's no such thing as good or bad habits. Each habit is just aligned with a specific outcome in life. So what do? We decide what kind of result we want, and we cultivate habits aligned with that, not because they're good or bad. Get it? If someone wants to be healthy and live a long life, shouldn't they develop eating and sleeping habits that support that? And if someone wants to improve their English, shouldn't they develop the habit of practicing every day, speaking, listening, and interacting in English? If someone wants beautiful calligraphy and dreams of becoming a master calligrapher, shouldn't they practice calligraphy every day? Shouldn't they also train in ink painting and brush control? So, the point is, whatever result we want, we must proactively nurture the habits that align with that. There's no such thing as good or bad habits. Are we clear so far? But then they also discovered something else, that habits are still not the root cause of transformation. So they moved to the next conclusion: action. And from that moment on, they elevated the importance of human action. People who act, those are the ones who matter. Now the whole world praises action. Those who don't act, who sit at home, passive and lazy, are ridiculed and looked down upon. People who just sit around all day, they're criticized constantly. Why? Because people judge that those with poor action capacity, they can't keep up. They get eliminated or looked down upon. That's because the world now believes the root of success and a good life is action. So companies manage people by action. What you do, how you do it, it's all tracked and measured. Productivity becomes the primary measure. Do you get this? Because some researchers concluded that action determines results, so they tried to manage life outcomes through action. Sounds logical, right? But here's the problem. That only works for outcomes in the external world. It doesn't work for inner life, our human experience. Let me explain. They may cook for their husband every day. But does that really mean he feels loved? Same with parenting. Just because you care for them, does that mean they feel it? So, action alone isn't the root. Researchers kept digging deeper, and now they've arrived at a new conclusion. The root of everything is thought. They believe human thoughts are the true source of all outcomes. That's their definition, not ours. They renamed it. Instead of saying thoughts, they chose thinking, because thoughts felt too broad. The world now celebrates those who have deep thinking. Today, individuals with strong thinking abilities are highly valued. If someone has good thoughts, good thinking, then they are believed to create good outcomes. The entire world is now recognizing this. We are living in a time where thinking is prized. A few decades ago, society honored action. Back then, diligence and persistence in action were enough to build a good life. In those times, just working hard was considered good. But now, things have shifted toward valuing people who think. Hiring decisions today are based on one's thinking ability. Are you following so far? Of course, action is still evaluated, but only for manual or basic labor. For higher-level roles, what matters is thinking, the ability to think. Even with our children, when they do something just because we tell them, we get annoyed. But if we say something once and they already understand, that means they're engaging in thinking. Do you see that? In a family, some children only act when guided. Others act on their own initiative. Or even without being told, they've already figured it out. Nowadays, we truly admire people like that. But here's the problem. Some people have this kind of thinking, and others don't. And those who don't, even if they want to change, don't know how. You tell someone to think more, but they don't know what thinking even means. Eventually, it was discovered. Even thinking is not the deepest root. They dug deeper and found that the true foundation is belief. And here is the insight they came to. Belief shapes thought. Please write this down. Belief shapes thought. Belief shapes thought. Belief shapes thought. Belief shapes thought. What does this mean? All human thoughts are shaped by belief, and humans, by their very nature, never lack belief. They are always believing in something. For example, take Thin, right? From the past until now, whenever Thin tries to do something, has his family often opposed him? Now, let's say I'm someone close to Thin. When he starts getting ready to do something new, I say to him, "Don't do it, Thin. It won't work. Stop." At that moment, do you think I have faith in Thin? Do I? How could I, when I said that? Oh, I do have belief, but I believe that Thin won't succeed. There is belief, but it's belief that Thin can't do it. But if I said, "Do it, Thin, you'll absolutely succeed," then that means I believe he can do it, so everyone carries belief toward us. They either believe we can do it, or believe we can't. And if they believe we can't, then all their thoughts revolve around the idea that we can't. Even if we do succeed in front of their eyes, they still think we didn't. Because deep down, they already believe we can't. They'll say, even if it worked out, it'll fall apart soon anyway, just temporary. On the other hand, if someone truly believes in you, even if you failed many times, they'll still say, "Keep going, Thin, you're going to make it." Why? Because they hold the belief that you will succeed. And here comes the powerful insight. Thanks to this realization, people have greatly shortened their path of growth. Belief directly influences choice. It doesn't even have to go through thoughts or habits or anything else. Just reflect for a moment. How many times in life have you chosen something without thinking? Did it come from old habits? No. It came from belief. And it created the choice right there, instantly. Especially with things like buying a house or choosing a partner. Some people walk past a house and just know, "That's mine." Or meet someone and think, "That's my husband." Isn't that so? Belief determines our choices, and from there, the world values it highly. Many people have framed it in statements like, "Just believe, and miracles will happen. Just persist, and you'll surely succeed." They affirm that anyone who truly believes in something, that belief shapes their outcomes. And indeed, the world has proven this truth. Everything we have, or don't have, is a direct product of our beliefs. Isn't that true? Right now, whatever you hold in your life, doesn't it reflect what you've believed up to now? Because once we believe in something, we begin to make all the choices that match that belief. But then researchers kept digging. Why does one person believe in happiness while another doesn't? And they couldn't explain it, so they went further and discovered. Even belief is not the root cause. They researched more deeply and reached a breakthrough insight that what determines a person's belief is actually the image held in their mind. And tomorrow, you'll understand this deeply, so deeply that you'll see the true origin of human life from the perspective of science. A person who lives life through the scientific lens will always begin with the image in their mind. Let's say they're building a house. If they truly apply science, they'll know exactly what they want, what color to paint it, what material the door handle should be, the style of tiles, even the shape of the toilet. Every detail is already formed in the image within their mind, and because of that, when they go to build, it happens fast. But when it comes to something like marriage, we often go in without a clear picture, So our married life becomes unclear and chaotic. Why? Because we never applied this principle in human life. We didn't know the root of human experience lies there. Do you get that? Tomorrow morning, you'll go deep into this. You'll lift the curtain on this mystery. You'll finally understand why everything around you originates from the image held inside your mind. And once you realize this, I say, congratulations, because the moment you can change the image, you change your life. From that point forward, you can master cause and effect. Just be clear on the image in your mind, and you'll take control of your life. Tomorrow, you'll dive deep into this through insights, stories, and real-time interaction, and we'll all unlock this together. You will finally see clearly. Understanding the concept of mental image, we begin with 3 similar terms. So I will now define these for you. We're going to establish shared definitions in human experience. For example, we all agree to call this a shirt, that pants, this a chair, that a clock, these glasses. These are basic, commonly agreed upon definitions. That foundational layer of definitions makes it possible for everyone to have the same understanding. And this makes social interaction so much easier, like when a toddler is just old enough, and you say, "Get me the water cup." Your child knows what a cup is, and then takes action. But if the child doesn't know that definition, what happens? They'll be confused, unsure what to do. From a very young age, we are already giving children definitions, like, say, Dad, that's your dad. And for the child to understand what dad means, it has to match certain behaviors, certain meanings. Same goes for mom. It must carry a meaning. Brother, another meaning. So in the child's mind, these concepts start forming, and from those concepts, the child's interactions and worldview begin to take shape. But here's the thing. We've never been taught definitions for the inner world. So when someone mentions inner being, we feel clumsy. We don't know how to act, how to behave. What is compassion? What is joy? What is gratitude? We haven't clarified those inner concepts. So when we interact with others, we're not speaking the same inner language. People can work together effectively in worldly matters. But when it comes to the inner life, husbands love one way, wives another. Husbands care for the child one way, wives another, because there's no shared definition in human interaction. Are you following me so far? Give me a little response, just a nod or a yes. Let's begin by establishing shared definitions for this part of the lecture. There are 3 terms we'll define together: image, mental image, and mental image seed. The term image refers to images in general. Mental image refers to the images that live inside our mind. A mental image seed refers to a tiny imprint, just a seed, that exists within our mind. Later, this seed becomes clarified and projected outward into the world. Everything we see happening out there in society is a reflection of the mental image seeds inside us. I will illustrate this concept for you with an example, through the notion called the emptiness of all things. Please write this phrase down. The emptiness of all things. Now, imagine 2 of your loved ones, and describe how you feel about each of them in 5 words. These should be words that evoke a mental image. Please write this on your sheet of paper. Choose any 2 loved ones, your spouse, your child, anyone. And ask, when I think of this person, what do I feel? Use 5 words to describe those feelings or perceptions. For example, if you think of your child and feel they're dutiful, then write dutiful. If you think of your mother and feel love, then write loving. If your mother is stubborn, write stubborn. Don't overthink it. Just write what you feel. After we finish this exercise, I will help you understand it more deeply. Remember, This is about your genuine feeling. Choose 2 people. Surely there are at least 2 loved ones in your life. Just write it down. Don't worry too much. This is part of the process. Later, I'll invite someone to stand up and share what they wrote. And from that, I'll explain why the root of our life, from a scientific perspective, comes from the mental images we carry, and why it is these images that determine our life outcomes. Once you acknowledge this awareness, we'll go deeper to learn how to transform the seeds that shape our lives. The next hour will be one of the most important moments for shifting your awareness. This moment is important. Now, may I invite someone who's written their 5 words? Would anyone like to share their emotional impressions of a loved one with the class? Yes, please. Brother Keem, you're welcome. Thank you, teacher. Thank you, everyone. I'll share about 2 loved ones, maybe even 3, but I'll start with 2. My son, first thing that comes to mind is that he's intelligent, but with a bit of cunning. Is he intelligent, like his father? Kind of similar to how I was a few years ago. Next is argumentative. Argumentative, meaning he's a bit cheeky, always has something to say back, right? Always needs to respond with a few retorts before he's done. Then, he's affectionate. Lives with emotion, meaning he knows how to care. And then, stubborn. Oh, stubborn. How old is he? When he gives an opinion, he insists on it at all costs, uses all logic to defend his view. He was born in 2012, so he's 12 in grade 7. Okay, that's all? Yes, that's all. So, regarding the stubborn trait, he's intelligent. That's a positive image. But argumentative and stubborn. Do you sometimes feel frustrated about those things? A little upset, yes. Then, if you enlarge those images and keep them fixed long-term, what will happen to the father-son relationship? It will likely worsen. Now, let's explore awareness. Is it that your son is actually stubborn and argumentative, and then you see him that way? Or is it because you already have an internal image of him being stubborn, so you perceive him that way? According to the class, do you see the child's trait first and then form a mental image? Or do you already have the mental image and then see the child through it? Do you understand this point? For example, when we see someone and perceive them as bad, is it because we saw their behavior and then imprinted that bad image into our mind? Or did we already carry that negative image in our mind, and therefore we perceived them as bad from the beginning? Let me ask again, just asking you, Kiem, your son, is he really stubborn and argumentative, and then you formed the image of him being that way? Or did you already have the image in your mind of him being argumentative, and then he turned out that way? Just answer from your current awareness and observation. Maybe it's from feedback at school, like the teacher saying he always follows his own direction and doesn't listen to others, and then that got passed on to me and my family. We weren't happy about it. So you're admitting that your child behaves that way, and thus you formed that image. So the root of this perception is from external influence, not from internal projection. If that's how you perceive it, do you see the implication? Like when we feel our husband doesn't love us, it's because we observe his daily actions and see no love there, not because we lack love inside ourselves and therefore project that. According to Kiem's perception, it's the same logic, right? Everyone. Is that right? Because we observe his behavior and say, he doesn't love me, instead of realizing maybe we lack love internally. That's why people suffer so much in life. I'll prove to you that it's the seed image in our mind that creates the outcome. If I can prove that, would you be willing to change your perception? If I say to you, Kiem, that your son is stubborn because you created that image of him in your mind, what do you think? If you just say, that might be right, then it's not enough. You need to fully see it as the truth. Only then can you change your inner image and your son's behavior will change. If you just say it's possibly true, that means you haven't truly acknowledged it yet, and change won't happen. We're lucky today. We have many stories and tools to help you understand this awareness. I'll use the story of the pen as an example to help you grasp this concept. Please engage with me a little on this, everyone. Everyone, what is this object? Isn't it a pen or a writing tool? Because we understand its function. What is it for? It's for writing. So we perceive this as a pen or writing tool. There are many examples to help us understand this concept. But let's take an example from an animal, an intelligent one that also has its own awareness and perception about things around it. Let's say a dog, man's best friend. So if a dog sees this object, what does it do? It might chew on it, play with it. So if we imagine, the dog may perceive this as a bone or a toy. To us, it's a pen. But to the dog, it may be a bone or a toy. So are both views correct? Yes. Both are valid, right, everyone? Because each being has its own way of perceiving things. So now I puts this object here. In this moment, let's imagine that I is not here, none of you are here, and even the dog is not here. So what is this object at that moment? What is it? Steel? No, there's no one here, so steel doesn't apply. There's no observer, so what is it then? It is not that it doesn't exist. It's not that we can't see it. It is that. It is nothing, because there is no subject to perceive it. It only becomes something when there is a perceiver who gives it meaning. Only then does it become something. So, right in that moment, I enters. Then suddenly it becomes something. Before I entered, it was nothing. Before you entered, it was nothing. Before the dog came in, it was nothing. So, nothingness does not mean non-existence. It means that in the absence of a perceiving subject, it is undefined. Hence, all phenomena possess the nature of emptiness. All things in this world possess the nature of emptiness when they are undefined. When there is no perceiving subject, they are nothing. But the moment a subject appears, it becomes something. So when I enters, does I immediately label this object? Yes, and when I puts it here, I sees it as a pen or writing tool. But if the dog comes in too, what happens? To the dog, it's a toy or a bone. To I, it's a pen. So now I asks this question. What determines what this object is? Is it because something from outside enters our mind and tells us what it is? Or is it that something from our mind projects outward to determine what it is? I repeats, is this defined by external influences entering our mind and telling us what it is? Or is it the inner mind projecting outward to determine what it is? Outside in or inside out, everyone. Outside in or inside out. It is from the inside, right? This object is nothing. It is nothing. And it only becomes something because of the projection from inside ourselves. Do you understand this? Let's not yet dive into how or why those inner images came to be. Set that aside for now, because even that is not yet the ultimate root. But what we must first understand is this. It is the seed images in our mind that reflect outward, and they determine what we see in the outside world. So if in your mind there is no seed image of stubbornness, you would never see your child as stubborn. Do you understand this? So your child appearing as stubborn is because the seed image in your mind contains that view, and it projects outward, making you see your child that way. But if the seed image in your mind is that your child has strong viewpoints, then from that point on, your child is a child with firm principles. And if your child bases those viewpoints on principles, always standing up for what's right, then this becomes a child with both conviction and morality. But right now, what you're holding is a seed image of stubbornness. So whatever your child says, you interpret it as being stubborn. In reality, you may also want others to listen to you, and so you unconsciously project that image onto your child. But because in your own mental seed, your child is stubborn, then whatever they say, you feel it's stubbornness. not necessarily their fault. Let's not rush into changing anything yet. First, let's accept the awareness from this very first lesson. The images in our mind reflect outward. When we see someone as beautiful, it's because the seed image inside us is beauty. When we see someone as ugly, it's because the image inside us is ugliness. Be willing to acknowledge, my husband doesn't love me, not because he doesn't love, but because the image I have of what love looks like doesn't match his way of expressing it. Every parent loves their child, but many children still say their parents don't love them. Why? Because the parent's way of loving doesn't match the child's image of love. Don't see your child as stubborn. No, so you are facing the reality that your child is stubborn only because that image exists in your mind. I doesn't see anyone as stubborn. Do you understand, everyone? What we are facing is simply what we already carry as seed images in our mind. That's what gets projected outward. Others don't carry that seed image so that reality doesn't appear for them. But since we do carry it, we get affected by it. Change the image inside, and you will change the outer reality. That's what makes these learning days so wonderful. But first, acknowledge this. Everything happening around your life, whether pleasing or not, is all being projected from the seed images in your own mind, and I already proved it. What something is decided by what? By the perceiving subject. So, does your husband have emptiness? He's nothing in essence, and whether you see him as a drunkard is simply how you choose to see him. You see this pen as a pen, there's no difference from seeing your husband as a drunkard. It's all in how you perceive it. Is drinking alcohol wrong? Even though I didn't drink, don't smoke. Still, let's say today he's drinking all day with the president, tomorrow with the prime minister, and the next with the Minister of Foreign Affairs. What then? It's still drinking. But in that context, it becomes pleasing. That means the one with the problem might actually be you. I am not defending the husband. I has nothing to do with his life. But since you are Miss Student, I am saving you. If you keep seeing yourself as a victim and the world as something that's attacking you, how can you change anything? If a person always sees the world as a threat and themselves as a victim, how will they ever change? But if we realize that it's the seed images in our mind that create the results of our life, then the outer reality is just a reflection of what we carry inside. If we change the image, we change our life. Like I just said to you, your child is what? Has conviction. So in that instant, you've already shifted the image. And because you had just before acknowledged that the root comes from you, that the image reflects outward, then as soon as you shifted it to conviction, you began to see your child differently. Even a child who plays video games. Imagine sitting for 24 hours straight. This child has an extraordinary capacity. But when someone writes books for 24 hours, we admire them. When someone plays games for 24 hours, we look down on them. Why? It's the same behavior. Do you understand? Why do we judge it that way? Because we're holding negative seed images in our minds. So we label a child who plays games as spoiled, wasteful. But if the same child studies all day, we praise them. But a child who only studies and never plays, are they truly complete? Don't they miss out on their childhood? So congratulations to you. The moment you recognize that your images were just reflections, you already changed the image. And that's the turning point. A child who jokes, who talks back a little, that child has a cheerful personality. They're the comedian in the house. Why do we see it as disrespectful? Because we ourselves are serious, strict. We believe grown-ups should speak properly. But the child is bringing joy into the home, and sometimes making their strict father annoyed is their fun. Some children do this consciously. They test the emotions of those around them. And that's still part of their joyful personality. Even I's child is like that. While I is teaching, they run around, ask questions, contradict. Does that mean they're disrespectful? No. It just means that, over time, we can guide them. In our family, when we speak, our children always have a reply. Eventually, we can guide them to speak with wisdom. But if your child doesn't dare to speak at all, not even once, then outside, they will always follow others. If your child only knows how to obey, they'll also obey a stranger on the street or a bad friend. You are not raising a leader. You're raising a servant. This is the mindset of authoritarian parenting, when parents demand absolute obedience. So when a friend says, "Let's go try drugs," they'll follow along. They never learned to question. So it's not that the child is wrong. We are seeing through the filter of our own images. If we change the image, the outcome changes immediately. So please write down this sentence. Change the image, and your life changes. Remember, your child is not anyone yet. They become who they are based on how you perceive them. If you believe you are unhealthy, you are. The difference between someone healthy and someone unwell is in their mental image, the same with body image, skinny versus overweight. A skinny person believes, even if I eat a lot, I'll stay skinny, while someone overweight believes, just breathing makes me gain weight. So you see, they've locked themselves into that self-image. That image decides their reality. Before changing behaviors like dieting or exercising, first, change the image. So just by changing the image, we change our life. Please write down this key phrase for I. Change the image, change the life. That's the first awareness I invite you to embrace. Is this awareness clear for everyone? Because the result of our life today is entirely shaped by the seed images in our mind. For example, before we build a house, don't we already hold an image of it in our mind? If we have no image at all of how the house should be built, no clarity, no details, can we build it? Therefore, the result we have is born from the image seeds in our mind. So if we want to change the result, we must change the cause. And the cause is the seed image. So just change the image, and the life will change. When we say life, we're referring to one's entire lived experience. To change your life is to change your internal image. Change the image. Change the life. This is an essential insight. And I congratulate Mr. Kiem, because you've already changed your image of your child. From now on, your child is a special child. And now, you can also begin to change how you see your wife, your loved ones, your colleagues, your boss, your employees, anyone around you, just by changing the way you see them. This world has something truly fascinating. People often ask, why are prophets always right? They wonder, how can famous prophets make predictions that always come true, whether you believe in them or not? Because even if we don't believe, we still carry that image. Only when we're indifferent, when we carry no image at all, does it not manifest. That's why fortune tellers or true I Ching readers tend to be accurate about 70 to 90%. Once they say something, the listener plants that seed image. Example: if a fortune teller says, your second husband will bring you happiness, then once you marry the first, you'll start fighting. That one sentence sticks. You tell yourself, I must reach my second husband to be happy. So you force your way through the first marriage. Even if the second husband treats you badly, you still think, this must be the way to happiness. It's the same with negative beliefs. You say, I hate unfaithful men. You repeat that daily, and you plant that image. Then even if your husband wasn't unfaithful at first, you subtly inject that belief. One day, he lives out the very image you projected. Eventually, he turns into the very man you feared, because you created it. Same thing when you scold your child daily. I hate people who break promises. You repeat it often enough. They become that image. So, who planted that seed? You did. The world around you is your own projection. Realizing this opens up a path for transformation. Life will eventually show you and you'll understand. But remember, seed image is the cause. Life outcome is the effect. In the coming days, we'll explore this further. Don't worry. Some of you will awaken from this module, others from future ones. I haven't seen anyone fail to awaken if they fully commit to learning WIT-E. If you don't awaken from the scientific view, the spiritual or moral view will help. Surely, you have at least one lens in life. For example, when we start a business and say, I will definitely succeed, but deep down we still feel unsure, perhaps we won't make it. It's because of the inner image. Even if, at that moment, we use our reasoning to suppress doubt and try really hard, eventually the inner belief always wins. So, in everything we do, we must begin with the inner image of the result before we act. This is the second key understanding I want to pass on to you. Everything should begin with the inner image of the result. That means, before doing anything, start from the result you wish to achieve. Since we haven't yet done it, we can't see the result outside, so we must begin with the inner seed. And that inner seed is the image in our mind. So, we must begin everything with the inner image of the outcome, then take action. People pay a high price when they build a house without a clear image of it beforehand. That cost is time and money. Has anyone here ever built a house without a clear design and faced delays or rising costs? What's the cause? It's because the image isn't clear. If we're clear on the details, like the gate color, the tile pattern, the steel reinforcement design, the road layout, the toilet style, if we're clear about everything in advance, and if we coordinate with all the specialists, architects, interior designers, builders, only when everything is visualized in detail, then we pass on that image to the contractors. Everyone is on the same page, with a shared image. Then what happens? 90% of the outcome is already secured. After that, we just monitor and guide to keep everything aligned with that image. We're managing the image. When we build training centers, our organization knows this principle. So when the leaders build a center, say on 2 hectares of land, they finish it in 40 days. The center includes a swimming pool, housing, and an auditorium. Another center in Dalat, on 5 hectares, was finished in 62 days, and right after, we opened a residential course. Why so fast? Because before that, the team sat down, asked what the center needed, and visualized every element. They only worked with aligned partners, those who shared the same image. They saved huge amounts of money, effort, and time, just by managing the image, not the details. Then we assign someone with strong belief to execute it, along with a team who manage the daily tasks. And the investor, our core person, only manages the image. If it doesn't match, they simply say, "This part looks different from the drawing. Please fix it." Only those who share the same image can work together. Do you understand this? From now on, before doing anything, start with the result. If there's no clear result, don't act. How can we know the result before doing? We can't know the outer result, but we can be clear on the inner image. So the next line I want you to write down and remember is, clarity of image is result. Clarity of image is result. Yes, clarity of image is result. Change the image. Change the life. From now on, our awareness must shift. It's not about having to take action to get results, but just by having a clear image, there is already result. If the image is clear, the result is already forming. So, if someone has this awareness, their life can transform very quickly. For example, in the coming days you receive energy and your body opens up, and you form an image of being able to squat 5,000 times. That's already a result. Just hold that image firmly and keep going. Then the result will come. Don't let the image waver. Just keep at it and it will bear fruit. But if someone keeps forming an image and losing it again and again, that means they haven't yet realized that a clear image is the result. That's why people have this idea that you must lock in your ideal image for your life to be good. Form. Example. Before getting married, you're clear about what kind of man you want, so keep that image fixed. Don't crave more and more. Over time, as you meet men with better traits, you keep adding to your ideal image, until eventually no one meets that standard, and you end up single. So just fix your image on core values. For example, your child. Keep an image of the child, holding on to some core moral values. If anything extra comes in, that's fine. But keep that foundational image. Like if you keep the image that your child is a filial child, then no matter what, they'll show filial love to you. The child may treat the whole world poorly, but if you keep the image that they treat you well, then they will treat you well. But even if the child treats the whole world kindly, if you keep the image that they treat you badly, then they will treat you badly. If you keep the image that your husband loves you, then even if he behaves poorly with others, he still loves you. But if you hold the image that he treats you badly, then even if he loves the whole world, he will still treat you badly. Do you understand? Does this make sense? He treats his friends well, right? But only treats you badly because of the image you hold. Meanwhile, his friends hold the image of him as a good person. I'm still living with him because he still has some good seeds within him that I am still connected to. If his inner seeds were truly all bad, I would have left a long time ago, right? So, enlarge that good image. Don't focus on the negative ones anymore. Enlarge the image of his good health, and he will naturally quit drinking. Even if he still drinks but remains healthy, that's already something to be thankful for. We must consciously enlarge the good images. If you can acknowledge that it is the seed images in your mind that create your perceptions of the world and shape the life you currently experience, then that is a very profound realization. Many people, even when understanding from a scientific perspective how worldview is constructed, still cannot accept that their human life experiences, Hansin Kwan, are also self-created. For example, before creating any invention, doesn't a scientist clearly visualize it in their mind first? A business person lays out a detailed plan before entering the market, right? So why do we apply this approach in science and business, but not in personal life, in marriage, parenting, or family building? If someone doesn't understand this, the price they pay in life is high. Not having a clear vision for marriage means risking your entire youth. Not having a clear vision for raising children means risking the poverty of your entire lineage. Because there's no clear image of what kind of education or legacy to build for the next generations. When you decide to marry and have children, you must already have a vision of what the future of your lineage should look like. But instead, we often think, let the kids grow however they grow, as long as they have enough to eat, as long as they are happy. Yet we don't even know what happiness really means, and we ask our children to just be happy, just be joyful. Don't focus on earning money. But how do you create joy when you don't even have a definition for it? So the price humanity pays in life is massive when they don't understand this root cause. Now we know that the images in our mind determine the external result, and sometimes even when we are not clearly aware of any image, the outcome still manifests. That's because, in fact, there was already a seed image inside. We just don't know the reason yet. Some images have existed even before we were born. They are stored in our subconscious or in what is called the store consciousness. Yidini, we will explore the origin of those images in other perspectives later. But for now, what we need to acknowledge is the seed image in the mind is the cause, and our current life experience is the result. If we want to change the result, we must change the cause. So, change the image, change the life. If we want to manage cause and effect, then before doing anything we should begin with the result image in the mind. That means starting with the cause, and then the result will follow. We only need to have a clear image of what we're going to do, and that becomes the result of our future life. To understand this much is already powerful, within the framework of scientific perspective. If you are a woman or a man, please help I by never expecting a happy marriage, because in all of humanity, in the realm of human experience, there is no such thing as a guaranteed happiness. Don't place expectations. Instead, pursue self-generated happiness and harmonious marriage. Do you understand this? That we pursue self-generated happiness and harmonious marriage because many women feel that their happiness depends on the man. That's the end. Oh dear, that means your consciousness has been hijacked. If it stays that way, you will never truly be happy. So strive for self-generated happiness and harmonious marriage. There will be moments of disharmony, but we bring it back to harmony. Because in any human relationship, absolute harmony is impossible. If we maintain self-generated happiness, it becomes easier to have a harmonious marriage. But if we chase after a happy marriage, we will never find one. People pretend to tell you they have a happy marriage, but the ups and downs they went through, they never told you about. So, pursue self-generated happiness and harmonious marriage, not a happy marriage. Can we agree on that? There was a story like this. A woman, wife of a very famous personal development coach, was interviewed during his book launch. Instead of interviewing him, they turned to the wife and asked, "Does your husband bring you happiness?" Without hesitation, she replied, "No." Everyone was shocked. She was asked again, and again she said, "No." A sharp reporter asked her to explain. She said, "No man in this world can bring happiness to a woman, especially my husband. He can only bring more happiness to me. I already have happiness. He adds to it. No man creates it." Do you understand this? If we don't have love within, how can we receive love from our spouse? We can only receive more love if we already have it. Someone who is already poor cannot be rich. But someone who is already abundant, becoming rich, is easy. So forget about escaping poverty eternally. It's not possible, because our inner image is still poor. Even with money, it will all disappear. If we are already abundant, then we can easily grow richer. Do you understand this? One who constantly seeks respect will never find it. In marriage, stop expecting to be respected by your spouse. No one's behavior affects your own sense of self-respect. If you remain untouched, people will respect you naturally. Only then will others respect you. So, stop expecting people to treat you with respect. Keep your own self-image intact. No one can damage your self-respect. So, wherever you go, people will naturally respect you. Do you understand this idea? Now, who is more likely to be affected in terms of self-respect? Someone poor or someone wealthy? It's usually the poor person. If someone says, "You don't even have money to buy that," they get upset immediately. But a rich person hears that and laughs. "I could buy your whole store." So, why do we get upset? Because deep down, we look down on ourselves first. Understand? If you understand, turn to your friend and say, "The root of life begins with me." So how do we change this image? We'll get into that shortly. Let's ask, do you clearly understand these 3 keywords before going deeper? First of all, if life feels off track or unsatisfactory, don't overthink it. Just anchor yourself in this root understanding. Change the image, change the life. If life is going well, you don't need to change anything, just clarify the image more. But if life is unsatisfactory, then we ask, what's the root cause? It's the seed image in our mind. This is a foundational awareness we share. Next, begin every action with a mental image of the outcome. Don't control the outcome. Control the cause. If the cause is right and the conditions are favorable, the result will come. So we manage the cause, not the result. Let's borrow the insight of the enlightened. Ordinary beings discuss the outcome. Enlightened ones discuss the cause. We borrow this insight from the enlightened ones, and in the realm of human life, it will help us transcend very simply. Got it? So, in this model, what exactly is the cause? The mental image. So before doing anything, begin with a mental image of the result. And how do we see clearly the image before we act? That's what we'll learn next. So please write this down. Where do mental images come from? They come from what you hear, see, say, and know. This knowledge will be explored in the afternoon. We will study this to understand the perspective of religious faith, because what we hear, see, say, and know across countless lifetimes has already planted seeds of mental images in us.